How are we shaping young minds, and how do you feel about the goings-on in America's classroom? Scott, what are the latest numbers when it comes to education?
Well, Jennifer, the most important thing to talk about here is who gets to decide.
Okay.
It's not about specific classroom policies or other details. It is the question of who's in charge. Now, parents, 66% of them say they have too little control over their kids' education. Okay, it sounds right to me. I mean, who else should have control of this? But when you get to that politically obsessed group we talked about last week, the politically obsessed elites, well, only 17% say parents don't have enough control, and 50% say they have too much control. These people are saying by a 3-to-1 margin, parents, what are you complaining about? You've already got too much influence.
So did you look at how old their kids are? Because if their kids are grown, maybe that makes a little more sense. They're not involved in the schools right now.
You know, it's actually the primary age of people in that elite group are 30-somethings to 50-ish. So they do have kids in school, maybe not kindergarten, but they still have kids in the school program. I think it's just a different outlook on life. And I think the problem is what they're saying is we're looking at these parents protesting about things we don't like, so therefore something's wrong.
Okay.
Now, when we talk about what a parent see, well, let's start with the very basic. How do you rate the schools in your area?
Okay.
Just under half, 43%, say their schools are excellent or good. 14% say they're poor. You know, they don't think they're doing a good job of teaching those basic skills. That's where the concerns are. A lot of people, when we start talking about education, get distracted by all kinds of cultural issues. But it's still, when you talk about education, you need to talk about education. So we went and said to parents, okay, how satisfied are you with the schools your children attend? Not schools in general, not schools in your area. Parents of kids in public school, 32% of them were very satisfied.
Okay.
Not a terrible number, but not great. When you ask about parents who have kids in some other kind of schooling, which could be homeschooling, charter schools, private schools, 58% are very satisfied.
Well, you've chosen that. I mean, you have an option there.
Exactly, and that is the point.
Okay.
When parents get to choose, different parents are going to choose for different reasons. I have 2 sons. They're both very different. They had different educational strengths and weaknesses. You've got to recognize that as you're going through, and that's why choice matters so much. But there's something else going on here. When we ask Republicans who have kids in the public schools, only 20% of them are very satisfied.
Okay.
When we ask about Republicans with kids somewhere else, 78%. So among Republicans, huge impact from getting their kids out of public schools. Democrats, 43% are very satisfied with their public schools, 38% with other schools. So they're not seeing the same kind of change. We're not quite sure why that is. Right now, we're aware of it, and it's something to explore. I think it has something to do with the types of lessons that are being taught in schools. But again, that's just a guess at this time.
Or it could just be that maybe this group doesn't look to those private schools as much. They decide they want to stay in their neighborhood school.
It could be.
Okay.
I mean, there's lots of different reasons, again, why parents would have it. But here's where the problem gets to be. Only half of voters believe that all high school graduates leave school with knowing how to read and write, get a job, perform as an adult in society. And overwhelmingly, parents are saying, by the time you're out of high school, you should have those skills. So this tells us where the real problem is. Again, it's about education. 10% of voters say that at least half the kids in their high schools, half the graduates don't have these skills, which is a scary, scary number.
And you're talking reading and writing is what you said.
Reading, writing, being able to get a job.
Okay, that is
very basic skills.
Okay.
Some parents say that's what we need to get back to. For other kids who have those skills, maybe they're looking for something different. But again, it's the parents who should be in charge.
Okay.
Now, here's another way of looking at it. We hear all kinds of talk about spending on college or student loan cancellations. But when we ask voters, 3 out of 4 say we really should be focusing more on ensuring that all high school graduates have basic life skills. This is where the focus should be on education going forward.
it used to be the case. You finished high school, you went and got a job. You didn't have to go to college.
That's exactly right. A lot of people would like to get back to that.